Alright, so let me tell you something interesting, and I promise this actually has to do with the video. In 2005, a team of psychologists ran an experiment that disturbed even the researchers running it. They asked people to describe their own personality in detail, then asked their closest friends to do the same. Years later, they checked how much of those descriptions had changed. Almost nothing had. Not because people stayed the same, but because they stopped checking. I promise this has to do with you. You have spent your entire life with yourself, every waking second, every decision, every quiet thought, and yet, you have never actually met the real you. You think that sounds impossible. It's not. The person you call yourself is mostly a collection of habits, fears, expectations you stopped questioning years ago. You don't know who is underneath all of that. And that's where the problem starts. This isn't because you are shallow, weak, or unaware. Every single person does this. It's not your fault that you became this version of you. It's because your mind has one job, and it isn't to find the truth, it's to project consistency. Somewhere along the way, your brain decided that predictable was safer than accurate, and it's been running that program ever since. So you keep telling yourself, this is just who you are. It isn't. It's who you have repeated being. Personality feels permanent because repetition feels like truth. Say something about yourself enough times, I'm just shy, I'm just not creative, I'm just bad with money. And it stops sounding like an opinion, and it starts sounding like a fact. Most people mistake familiarity for identity. That's the entire reframe of this video. The you have known your whole life might be just the you have practiced the longest, not the only one available. Repeated doesn't mean real. The question isn't who you are, it's who you decided to be. So how does this happen? How does a person end up locked into a version of themselves they never actually chose? There are 4 moments that quietly build what I call your default self, the person you became before you even realized. 1. Childhood. Before you could even form a real opinion about yourself, the people around you were already forming one for you. 2. School. A place that gives you labels like smart, average, shy, or difficult, and rarely asks if they are still true. 3. Friends. The roles you played in a friend group at 13 have a strange way of following you into rooms you walked into at 30. 4. Small failures and small compliments. This is the quietest one and the most powerful. Here's how it works. Someone struggles to speak in front of their class once, just once. Years later, they will say with complete confidence, I'm just not good at speaking. One moment became an identity. Nobody checked if it was still true. The conclusion stayed, and so did the version of you built around it. And that's why change feels so strange. Here's the part most people never figure out. There are 3 mechanisms running underneath every decision you make, and none of them are protecting your potential. Mechanism 1. Consistency protection. Your brain protects consistency but not potential. You will find this pattern almost everywhere. Someone who calls themselves not a gym person will feel more comfortable skipping a workout than showing up. The familiar failure feels safer than that unfamiliar attempt. If you never question it, you will spend your life choosing comfort and call it personality. Mechanism 2. Identity filtering. Every decision gets filtered through an identity. Before you even notice an opportunity, your mind asks a quieter question. Is this the kind of thing someone like me would do? A job offer, a conversation, a risk worth taking. It doesn't get judged on its own first. It gets compared to the person you already believe you are. If it doesn't fit that image, you often reject it without even realizing you made a choice. Mechanism 3. The discomfort sequence. The real change feels uncomfortable long before it feels exciting. This is the one that fools almost everyone. People assume that if something is right for them, it should feel good early. So when a new direction feels awkward or slow, they take that discomfort as a sign to turn back. If you ignore this, you will turn back every time just before things begin to work, which leads to one uncomfortable question. I was 16, sitting in the back of the classroom, when a professor asked a question, and I knew the answer. I didn't raise my hand. I told myself I just wasn't a raise my hand kind of a person. That was the story. I had been telling it since I was maybe 12 years old. For the next 4 years, that one quiet sentence, I'm not that kind of a person, cost me many different opportunities. Conversations I didn't start, rooms I didn't walk into. But the moment this changed was small. I raised my hand in a meeting I nearly skipped. Nothing dramatic happened. The world didn't notice, but I noticed. People around me at the time didn't think anything had changed. That was fine. I wasn't doing it for them to see. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing something strange. You didn't fail, nothing dramatic went wrong. You just never met the person you could have been. That's the real tragedy. Not that someone stopped you, it's that you accepted the default first version of yourself and never once asked if it was still true. But you can't miss someone you have never met. but you can become the version of you were meant to be. So how do you meet that version? Stop asking what I am capable of. The question is too vague. It makes you look for a dramatic answer that never comes. Ask a smaller, direct question instead. What part of my identity have I never actually tested? Here's the practical shift. The next time something feels unlike you, a conversation, an opportunity, a version of a response you wouldn't normally give, pause before you reject it. Because maybe it isn't unlike you. Maybe it's simply unfamiliar. Those two things get treated as the same thing, and they are not even close. One is information about who you are, and the other is just information about what you haven't done yet. New doesn't always mean fake. There's one final thing you need to understand. So here's the truth underneath all of this. The real you isn't hidden somewhere waiting to be discovered. It's revealed through the choices your current identity keeps avoiding. Every hard choice you avoided was a taste of who you could be that you never tried. Most people never do enough of this, not from lack of ability, but because they don't see them as choices. So before this video ends, do one thing, just one. Think of a single belief you hold about yourself that you have never actually tested, and write it down somewhere you will see it tomorrow. And that's where this starts. Maybe you have spent your whole life trying to find yourself, when the real work was becoming someone you have never given yourself the chance to be. I don't know who you will find, but I would like to know when you do. Thank you.